of course the Premier League is back this week. It kicks off live and off the ball as well on Wednesday night. Nathan, you're doing Manchester City against Arsenal on Wednesday night. We're going to turn back to the back pages before we get into best case, worst case at the moment, because the other story we wanted to touch on this morning was United's €84 million bid for Jack. That's how it is on the back of the Irish Daily Star, at least. Manchester United apparently going to park their interest in Jadon Sancho. They're going to wait 12 months, or at least that's what Borussia Dortmund are telling them, and instead they are going to look at Jack Grealish. How likely, in your view, Nathan, is this of happening, and how great a piece of business would this be for Manchester United?
84 million quid. I thought we were talking about a transfer market that was going to be in maybe stagnating somewhat over the course of the summer. It seems like an incredible amount of money. A different type of player to Jadon Sancho, and you can't really compare their stats because Sancho's playing at a team that are competing at the very top in Germany, whereas Grealish has obviously been involved in a relegation battle. Still has 7 goals this season, and every time you watch him, you're impressed. You're starting to look at the United team, though, and wonder where they're all going to fit in if they're keeping Pogba. So where do Jack Grealish, Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes fit into the same starting 11? Are you playing a potentially some sort of a diamond with Pogba on the left, Fernandes through the middle, and Grealish on the right, even though he generally plays on the left? It's hard to figure out where exactly he would fit in. Jack Grealish to Manchester United, listen, if they're going around looking for good, young, talented English players, he fits that mould. But for that sort of price, it does seem a little bit excessive.
Yeah, it certainly does. Let's move
Jack
on.
Grealish, 50 million is Jack Grealish's price.
Yeah, it really is. So, well, you'd have him as a cheaper alternative. So you'd have him cheaper than Timo Werner in the current market, for example.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, fair enough, I think.
I don't think he's going to offer as much as Werner will.
So €84 million, that is the fee that is reported on the back of the Star anyway this morning. Best case, worst case. Nathan, we've been doing this for the last week, going 3 clubs a day. Today's clubs, we'll start with Southampton. First of all, they're in 14th position on 34 points. Bournemouth are in 18th and 27 points, so they're 7 points clear of the drop zone at the moment. The break probably came at the wrong time for Southampton. Certainly the second half of the season had gone a lot better for them. What is the best case scenario for them?
Well, you say that. They'd actually gone through a pretty horrible spell just before the break. They'd lost 5 of their last 6. So, whereas you would have thought they were safe on 34 points, they need probably, 1 win and 1 draw. So it's hard to see them dragged fully into that. They've sort of had a season of thirds where the 9-0 defeat against Leicester is the standout, but they bounced back brilliantly, were cracking form around Christmas, got enough points, got enough victories there to show us more about them. They just seem very inconsistent. They're very open defensively. You wouldn't trust them. From best case scenario, from an Irish point of view, is we see a lot more of the 3 Irish players. Shane Long obviously signed his new contract. Will Smallbone signed his new contract. And Michael Obafemi is there as well. It'd be brilliant to see all 3 of them, particularly Obafemi, come in and get a lot of game time between now and the end of the season. I can't see them being dragged into any sort of a relegation fight. They've decent fixtures. They've got Norwich and Watford. They're going to pick up enough points.
So the worst case is sounding unlikely. How likely then is a Shane Long goal glut, a Shane Long resurgence? Like, if you're talking about a patchy season, at least we have seen good patches from Shane Long.
Yeah, we have. And listen, he's just signed a new contract. So clearly Hasenhüttl likes what he sees, and he provides a different type of outlet. He still should have more goals than he has this season. You watch them in games, and at times he's unfortunate. At times, he hits the post and Danny Ings puts in the rebound, and you contrast the amount of chances the 2 of them had, and things just seem to fall in Danny Ings' favour this season, which is probably why Southampton have managed to escape the relegation zone. I don't think you could sit here and confidently say that there's going to be a glut of goals from Shane Long, but I think you can confidently say he's going to keep his place in the team and will contribute. They're not putting him in there for no reason. Obviously, he does the job that the manager wants. I'm sure Shane Long, more than anybody, would prefer to be scoring a few more goals.
Tottenham are in 8th place on 41 points. What is the best case scenario here, and how likely is it to happen, Nathan?
Well, best case scenario is they end up finishing in the Champions League places. They're 8th, 4 points off Manchester United at the moment, and find a bit of consistency under Mourinho and find a bit of fight under Mourinho. I covered a couple of their games before football stopped. Was at the victory against Manchester City, where they won 2-0. But City battered them for an hour in that game before the sending off. And then I covered the game against Aston Villa, where, again, Villa sort of roughed them up for the first half of that game. Spurs won, scored a 94th minute winner, terrible mistake by Villa, but Villa got at them and bullied them for the first 45 minutes, which is not what you would ever expect from a Mourinho team. But maybe we just need to reset what we think about a Mourinho team. You still sort of think of Mourinho at Chelsea. Like, there's no clear plan of action. There's no great sign of fight. They just seem a bit soft, this Tottenham team. Now, they've obviously had a lot of training sessions over the break, far more than any other team, it seems. So maybe that'll give them a unity. They spent a lot of time together. That'll give them something. And again, they're one of the beneficiaries of this, in that whereas Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, their two most talented players, we're going to miss the rest of the season. Both of them are back. Steven Bergwijn had an injury as well. He's now back fit. Moussa Sissoko obviously offers that maybe a bit of power and steel that they've been missing. So it could be a slightly different looking Tottenham team. But Harry Kane is having in front of goal his worst season since he really broke into the team. They're not creating as many chances from, anywhere near as many chances from, and they need him to hit the ground running. They've got a tough run of games. They start with Manchester United on Friday night. They've got West Ham, which is a big rivalry for them as well. They've Sheffield United, Arsenal, Leicester all to come between now and the end of the season. From what we've seen so far of this Tottenham under Mourinho, it's hard to see them putting together a run of results that will get them into the Champions League places.
If you had to give Jose Mourinho a success rating out of 10 so far as Tottenham boss, what would it be?
5. We're talking about a team that got to a Champions League final last year. I know the decline had already set in at that stage in the second half of the season under Pochettino, but there's been no improvement. There's been no improvement whatsoever under Mourinho. If anything, it's gone even further backwards, and there've been few signs that it's going to get any better. As I say, I just think watching them, there was a real steeliness to Tottenham at their best under Pochettino. They had arguably the best defence in the Premier League for a couple of seasons. Now you've no idea what back four is going to line out, it seems, in any game, and in midfield they're just weak. So unless he can have somehow fixed that over the break, I just can't see Tottenham improving that quickly.
Finally then, Watford, 27 points in 17th, level on points with Bournemouth, are better off by 1 goal on goal difference at the moment. So in a very precarious position here. Obviously, Pearson has come in and things took a good bit of an upturn. Best case, worst case here is fairly obvious. Just outline how likely the best and worst case scenarios are to happen.
Well, I'm wary of saying that every team they're too good to go down, and actually I'll have only Norwich going down. Everyone else I'll have said are going to stay up. They definitely do have the quality. Obviously Troy Deeney is back and is probably the main character in that squad, but they have the likes of Capoue, Sarr, Gray, Femina at the back, who are all of the quality of player that should be able to play and stay in the Premier League. And they have a manager who has been there and done that in Nigel Pearson. They're, like a lot of teams in that area, like frustratingly inconsistent. Some brilliant performances. You watch them some days and think like they should be where they were last season, pushing for a European place. Like the performance against Liverpool is obviously the standout result of the season from any club, beating them 3-0. But then they followed that up by losing 1-0 at Crystal Palace. I think they'll get enough victories between now and the end of the season to be okay, and they've got a good run of fixtures to start with. After they play Leicester, they've Burnley and Southampton, and I don't think the decline should have been as dramatic as we've seen from where they were last year. They are a mid-table team who've struggled so far, and I'd expect to be fine between now and the end of the season.
Very good. That's best case, worst case for the Premier League done for today. That's back again with our final slot tomorrow.